stars, we control a galaxy. We are type 0. We are an energy dead planet.
Some scientists suggest that if humans were even to ascend to what Kardashev called a Type 1 civilization, our current understanding of the laws of the universe would be dramatically altered.
Now, some of my colleagues say, humbug, the stars are so far away. Aliens can't possibly reach us, but that assumes that they're just Type 1. What happens if they are 1,000 years ahead of us? Or for a Type 3 civilization, 100,000 years more advanced than us? Then new laws of physics begin to open up. And all the humbugs have to be thrown out the window because a new scale of physics emerges once you are Type 2 or Type 3.
There are several theoretical physicists who believe that once humans achieve the status of a Type 1 civilization, evolving to Type 2 and colonizing other planets will happen quickly and will be akin to our leap from ape to human. If so, could Bob Lazar's accounts of reverse-engineered alien spacecraft signal a revolutionary turning point in human evolution? Perhaps further clues can be found by examining a recent scientific breakthrough. Dublin, Russia, August 10th, 2003. Russian and U.S. nuclear physicists at the Joint Institute for Nuclear Research shoot a beam of calcium atoms at a target of element 95, americium, inside a particle accelerator. The collision results in the creation of the heaviest atom ever observed, element 115. Because element 115 is highly unstable, it exists in stable form for only a fraction of a second before disintegrating into radioactive fragments. But could this be the very same element that Bob Lazar said was the fuel source for an extraterrestrial craft? Some physicists believe that if they can produce a stable form of this newly synthesized element, it has the potential to facilitate the greatest technological leap in human history.
Most of these elements beyond uranium only exist for a fraction of a second. They're there, and then they're gone again. But we physicists think that we can make use of it to create nuclear energy on a much more efficient scale than plutonium. And that variations of it could be stable and might eventually provide fuel for a starship.
This technology can absolutely instantaneously alter our world beyond our wildest imagination, and it could do so rapidly that it would be a shock to the human consciousness. So the idea is to study these technologies and try to get parts of it that will benefit humanity.
Mainstream scientists believe stabilizing enough muscle to power intergalactic spacecraft is still decades away. But the question remains, would this element 115 be the same element 115 that Bob Lazar claims was recovered by the U.S. military?
It has always been theorized that element 115 itself does exist, but we haven't physically made it ourselves until 2003. However, the element 115 that Bob Lazar had his hands on, that had a different isotopic ratio that allowed it to be stabilized.
While scientists suggest that it may be possible to create a stable version of moscovium, there are some who believe this newly synthesized element is simply a decoy. Could it be that some secret government agency arranged for the introduction of this highly unstable element in order to convince the public that the element 115 Bob Lazar described does not exist?
Whenever somebody makes a bizarre claim that's written off as science fiction, like element 115 was, and then years later the science catches up and it's, oh yeah, he was right, there is an element 115 and we've just manufactured some. Well, it's the idea that this is disinformation. And they'll be saying it's one of these heavy elements that's only stable for a very short period of time. That simply can't be the real fuel by which interstellar travel was made possible. He's making it up, therefore he is not divulging anything classified. But when this announcement was first made, some people said, wait a minute, well, if Bob Lazar was right about element 115, what else was he right about?
For ancient astronaut theorists, the fact that an element 115 has now been added to the periodic table, and that scientists are already speculating about how it might be used for space travel, seems to lend further credence to Bob Lazar's claims. But if the military really did recover a stabilized version of element 115 from a crashed alien craft, did they come upon it by chance? Or could it have been given to us as part of an extraterrestrial agenda?
A house is something you buy. A home is something you paint. And for nearly 30 years, we've helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. So leave it to the pros who did your job well. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust.
Meet Sarah and Henry. They just moved into their first home. So they looked at Hudson. And now, with something smaller on the way, they can take a moment here and there. Even if it's on the whole. Look at Hudson.
Saturday Fight Night exclusive. Ronnie Romero
versus Teofimo Lopez. Two born showmen in the city where fortunes are won and lost. And for boxing's ultimate gamblers, everything is on the table. Unreal. You roll the dice. You guys got a big mouth. They must go all in. Raleigh versus Teofimo. Put up or shut up. August 22nd. Watch on DAZN and DAZN on Prime Video.
Whether you're a homeowner creating your dream space or a pro managing multiple projects, discover a new way to shop at Ferguson Home, where great ideas become stunning spaces. Ferguson Home is designed for the way you want to shop. Explore the best selection of bath, kitchen, and lighting products online, or experience items firsthand in one of our showrooms. Our experts offer personalized support every step of the way. Bring your vision to Ferguson Home, where it all comes together. Shop top brands like Kohler or find your local showroom at fergusonhome.com.
You know, I don't want to sound paranoid, but I feel like someone's watching me. What do you want from me? Let me out! Baby, it's coming. Scared the hell out of me.
October 18th, 1947. The Astrakhan region of the former Soviet Union. From a military aerospace development lab known as Kapustin Yar, scientists successfully launched their first long-range ballistic missile, a German A-4 rocket. For the next decade, this will be the Soviet Union's only test site for ballistic missiles, and the beginning of a space program that put the first satellite and the first human being into space. Curiously, in 1948, Kapustin Yar was also the site of the Soviet Union's first reported UFO encounter. On June 19, 1948, a cigar-shaped object was detected by Soviet radar.
A silverish cigar-shaped object appeared over the testing grounds, and the Soviets tried to shoot it down. It's a highly classified case. We don't know exactly what happened, but allegedly they were able to actually shoot this object down. They found remnants of bodies in it, and also technology which was recovered and taken to the local bunker where they kept it allegedly for years and used it to reverse engineer some of the technology.
The Krustin-Yar incident allegedly took place within a year of the famous Roswell event. Both the CIA and the Soviet MGB intelligence agency took interest in what might have crashed and been retrieved in enemy territory.
You had American agents trying to find out what were the objects flying over the Soviet Union. At the same time, you had the Roswell incident in the United States. I can tell you that Stalin was very much interested, and he had espionage information delivered by his agents to him. We have proof of that. And he questioned Soviet academicians about the veracity of UFO threat to his country.
If stories of UFO crashes and retrievals in both the United States and the Soviet Union are true, could it have led to a collaboration between the world's only two superpowers? And considering the fact that the alleged incidents took place within a year of each other, might it have been part of an extraterrestrial agenda?
If there's a motivation of aliens or extraterrestrials in bringing these two superpowers together, it's to wake us up to recognize that, hey, once we get past all the artificial lines and borders on our planet and get out into space, that is the hope and promise of this collaboration.
If extraterrestrial spacecraft were purposely crashed in both the United States and the Soviet Union more than 70 years ago, has the study of them led to technological breakthroughs that have been kept hidden from the public? And where have these alien visitors been during the 7 decades that have passed? Ancient astronaut theorists believe they have been here all along, and that recent events suggest they are ready to make their presence known to humanity once again. November 14th, 2004. 100 miles off the coast of Southern California. Fighter pilots with the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group engage incoming unidentified flying craft. Oh my gosh, dude. 11 years later, in 2015, U.S. fighter pilots engage yet another UFO. They did? Well, the first one is happening. Interesting. The accompanying report revealed fighter pilot accounts of the craft descending from altitudes of 60,000 feet to 50 feet in a matter of seconds, hovering or staying stationary on radar for short waves, departing at high velocities and turn rates, and even cloaking. The release of what became known as the gimbal video was one of the most significant disclosures of government encounters with UFOs.
In the description, you're talking about maneuvers that would literally crush the spacecraft and kill any occupant. The only way you can circumvent that is if there's some sort of inertia dampening field around the craft itself. And that is, as far as we know, a technology that doesn't yet exist on this planet.
My gosh! Reminiscent of the sport model Bob Lazar claims to have worked on at Area 51S4, some of the crafts described in the DoD report were smooth, with no edges, uniformly colored with no nacelles, pylons, or wings, and were approximately 46 feet in length. According to Lazar, at the core of its design was a nuclear reactor powered by element 115.
Element 115 was what we would call the fuel, what provided the power for the reactor to work. Element 115 affects gravity. Element 115 produces its own gravitational energy. The resulting gravity wave creates a distortion in front of it, allowing the craft to slide forward. And that's how it proceeds.
Although Lazar is adamant that he observed the sport model in flight, skeptics argue that anti-gravity propulsion is the stuff of science fiction. Or is it?
Whether you're a homeowner creating your dream space or a pro managing multiple projects, Discover a new way to shop at Ferguson Home, where great ideas become stunning spaces. Ferguson Home is designed for the way you want to shop. Explore the best selection of bath, kitchen, and lighting products online, or experience items firsthand in one of our showrooms. Our experts offer personalized support every step of the way. Bring your vision to Ferguson Home, where it all comes together. Shop top brands like Kohler or find your local showroom at fergusonhome.com.
Let's admit it, online security can be a little boring. But hey, NordVPN now has a built-in next-gen antivirus. So boring. It will protect you from online scams. Still boring? NordVPN will block malware and stop phishing. One tap, and you are protected. Get NordVPN with the next-gen antivirus today.
Roaming fees abroad can be insane. So I tested the Sailor Easem app and saved on roaming. Grab a plan for a few bucks and connected instantly. The most insane place, I gotta show it to you. Stayed online through every adventure. At some point, gigabytes ran out. Thanks to Sailor, I topped up in seconds. In my opinion, Sailor deserves 5 stars. Download the Sailor Easem app for free.
When you're surrounded by questions that puzzle your mind, don't fret. The answers are right in front of you, if you know where to look. No, not on your phone or the internet. Artificial intelligence could never. You need the real deal. No mysteries, 24/7. Time-tested, illustrious guide into the unknown. Yours truly, of course, on Unexplained Zone.
Los Angeles, California. March 9th, 2019. Dissatisfied with mainstream scientific analysis of the DoD gimbal video, author and ancient astronaut theorist Mike Barra invited astrophysicist and aerospace engineer Dr. Travis Taylor to participate in an evaluation of the DoD's footage. They are also curious about the potential connection between the extraordinary movements of the UFO craft depicted and what Bob Lazar reported as the unique properties of what he is convinced was a captured extraterrestrial spacecraft, powered by element 115.
So here's the thing, though. If you assume the pilots are telling the truth, and if you assume the DoD is telling the truth,
Right.
then don't you have a much stronger case for something unusual being present on these videos?
Yeah, so if you make all those assumptions, then you have this craft in this video that is performing outside of our abilities to manipulate physics with aerospace vehicles today.
Travis Taylor has worked on various programs for the United States Department of Defense and NASA for over 16 years.
I'm an optical scientist, an aerospace engineer, an astronomer, and a physicist, and I've worked in the aerospace and defense industry since I was 17 years old. And it's intriguing that a lot of people are saying that this gimbal video is something like what Bob Lazar claims to have worked on.
Mike Barra has written numerous books about U.S. and international space programs and has done extensive research into aviation technology.
The thing to me that's really interesting about this video is the fact that it actually encourages people to believe that these are alien spacecraft. Now, why would the government want to do that?
For Mike and Travis, the first step in analyzing the DoD footage is to determine whether it is genuine or could have been fabricated. To assist them in this effort, they have turned to a master of illusion.
Hey!
Hollywood visual effects supervisor, Sam Edwards.
How you doing, Travis? Well, thanks for having us here.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, come on. After you. This way?
Yeah, perfect. Here's the screening room.
Wow, this is great.
Yeah. Have a seat anywhere.
So,
Do you think that you and your team could go and recreate a video that looked authentic, like it came from, the F-18 gun camera from, 2004 or whatever?
Listen, I'm in the visual effects business, right? And we don't ever say no.
Right.
But the joke is about the moon landing is, it must be real because Hollywood would never make something so boring.
Right.
So there's no mediation at all to this image, right? It couldn't be more dull. It's just technically, this is in there and that's in there. There's nobody's artistic vision at all.
That to me is one of the best arguments right there for it. That makes perfect sense.
While there is no way to determine for certain that the video wasn't fabricated, based on what they are seeing, as well as the pilot's eyewitness corroboration, Mike, Travis, and Sam are convinced that the footage is genuine. If true, the implications are profound, as even some military personnel are of the opinion that the maneuvers displayed by the craft in the gimbal video resemble no known man-made technology.
So now the next question is the origin of that advanced propulsion.
Right.
Is it man-made advanced propulsion or is it extraterrestrial?
Let's try to reverse engineer what's there and understand what we're looking at. So yeah, it's air-to-air footage, and I thought that was kind of cool. I stabilized out some of the camera motion so we could kind of get a better feel for its trajectory.
Oh, okay.
Wow, yeah.
That's cool.
That tells us how much it's actually moving.
Which doesn't seem to me to be supersonic or anything like it.
If you look at that, it looks to me like there's structure in a couple of places. Now we're below it, right? Something right in here, and then something here. The interesting thing here is, if you were looking at an SR-71 and it was below you and you're looking down at it, the wings would look sort of disc-shaped like that, and there would be a tail, and there would be a nose structure, and these would be your wings.
If that's a wing, then what's going on now? Right? It's still traveling in the same direction.
Yeah.
It looks a lot like a top, doesn't it?
It doesn't really coincide with the aerodynamics of a regular airplane.
Look at fighter pilots. They can roll, they can pitch, they can crab, they can yacht. They do all sorts of things to an airplane to make it look unusual.
I hear what you're saying, and we made a CG model, and I kind of hand-tracked it to sort of match its motion, so we could kind of get a feel for what some of its dimensions are.
Yeah, it's interesting. If it's looking straight on like your model there, your model matches to it pretty good.
Well, let me show you something else that catches my eye, gentlemen. What seems odd to me, this kind of light that follows behind the craft. There's no such thing as a light source that follows around behind an aircraft.
Right, because it's clearly there now that you point out. I can't believe I didn't see it before.
Yeah.
So the system is in black hot mode. What that tells me is black is hot. There's a cold region. A cold region around the vehicle. Think about it as a cold region around a propulsion system is odd. You typically are going to be, warm coming out of the exhaust or near your engine.
Doesn't that
whatever.
argue that it's not a conventional propulsion system?
Dog stars. It's no surprise how fast civilization can disappear. We're the survivors. Living in American dream of the new world. Heard the voice on the radio? There's something out there. Whatever broke this world. Left a trail. This could lead us to where it all began.
Yeah, it didn't go according to plan. Maybe it did, man. I don't know.
Dog stars, Views and Max, August 28th, rated R.
With our expert new search tool, just search it like you'd say it.
Room for moon.
And Reba. Make it ring with Realtor.com. What?
No, you should at least have the decency to, girl, listen. No, I'm not shopping on Depop right now. Would love this, that this happened to you, actually, because now you can find your real soulmate. No. Wait, I'll call you back.
Don't like good friendships. Get in the way of great finds.
Yes.
What do I feel when I wear an under outfit wireless bra? I feel nothing, nada.
So try Under Outfit for 180 days. No wires, no uniboob, no digging. So, how does it feel?
How does what feel?
Exactly.
Ancient astronaut theorist Mike Barra and aerospace engineer Travis Taylor are meeting with Hollywood visual effects supervisor Sam Edwards in order to examine footage of a UFO taken by a U.S. Navy pilot. They are also curious about the possible connections between the UFO craft depicted in the footage and the reported properties of the mysterious element known as 115.
On my monitor, I'm taking that broader dynamic range image, and I'm looking at different parts of the spectrum.
I mean, you can see that field right around.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not jet engines. I mean, look,
If we make the assumption that it's not the camera phenomenon, that it is something to do with the propulsion system, then it's describing to me something like an Alcubierre warp bubble.
An Alcubierre warp bubble is a theoretical model for transporting a spaceship by contracting space in front of it and expanding space behind it. A bubble of curved space would form around the craft, and in an atmosphere like that of Earth, the air temperature inside the bubble would be significantly cooler than the surrounding atmospheric air. So much cooler that an infrared camera would detect it. This makes it possible for the craft to travel faster than the speed of light without breaking any of the laws of physics.
here's the thing. This is exactly the technology that Bob Lazar talked about with his sport model from Area 51. What he said was happening was that you're simply distorting the gravity field like this so you can kind of surf along this wave. And if you're dealing with something like, let's say, element 115, if that really exists, if you're dealing with some sort of field propulsion, it's going to have a little bit of a halo around it. What Sam pointed out is absolutely extraordinary. What I'm seeing is this bubble around the craft. I'm willing to call it a craft now because I don't think it's just a drone anymore. I'm looking at something that points to a really, really extraordinary propulsion system.
That right there is clearly something there if it's not a camera artifact.
Well, the lights definitely rotate with the shape, right?
Yeah, which makes you think it's not a camera artifact. If this were just an artifact of the camera technology, I would have expected the halo to have looked slightly different. The fact that there's strange little striations from it that are turning when the vehicle turns, it doesn't look like it's a camera artifact. Sam, until I saw this, I had a completely different opinion of this video.
Oh, nice.
Seeing the video and the analysis that we did today with Sam, it's opened my mind to accept that it's possible that this is a vehicle that might function a lot like the stories that Bob Lazar told. This does have similarities that are uncanny. My skin is tingling from this.
If the bubble of cold air enveloping the craft in the gimbal video is the same phenomenon exhibited by Bob Lazar's sport model, could it be that the U.S. military has mastered the Element 115 propulsion system?
It acts precisely how Bob Lazar described the abilities of the sport model. And by the way, I have spoken to multiple Defense Department sources who are familiar with the release of that video, and they believe that it's because of special materials that craft could do what it did. What the special materials are, I don't know, but it sure sounds like Element 115 to me.
But if the DoD is in possession of such extraordinary technology, why is it being kept a secret? Could other world powers have also recovered similar technology? And will the public ever know the full truth?
In my mind, there is a deep state. And that deep state is essentially the military. And what makes that deep state ultimately is the incredible technology that our military has. And in fact, I believe it's quite possible that we're already exploring Mars and perhaps other planets. And the military is keeping it a secret from us.
There's the possibility that this is part of an acclimatization program, a sort of drip feeding of the truth out to us, a declassified video here, a document there, and maybe Bob Lazar fits into that story.
With the Pentagon's release of top-secret UFO videos, along with increased scientific cooperation between world powers, and the addition of element 115 to the periodic table, is the public being slowly prepared to enter an entirely new reality. Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest that if the U.S. government really is in possession of alien technology, an even more important question is, just where is it taking us?
Whether you're a homeowner creating your dream space or a pro managing multiple projects, discover a new way to shop at Ferguson Home, where great ideas become stunning spaces. Ferguson Home is designed for the way you want to shop. Explore the best selection of bath, kitchen, and lighting products online, or experience items firsthand in one of our showrooms. Our experts offer personalized support every step of the way. Bring your vision to Ferguson Home, where it all comes together. Shop top brands like Fuller or find your local showroom at fergusonhome.com.
Ven pronto y asiste el evento del verano de RAM para una gran oferta americana. Obtén 15% rebajado en modelos selectos RAM 1500 y sin pagos por 90 días. Y con la mejor garantía limitada del tren de potencia en América. ¿Qué esperas? Obtén una gran oferta durante asiste el evento del verano de RAM. Nada limita a RAM.
Compra y obtén esta gran oferta en la RAM 1500 Limited o arrendatarios FCA actuales bien calificados. Pueden arrendar la RAM 1500 Big Horn por $429 al mes.
The world that was doesn't exist. We're the survivors. He's a Marine from Oklahoma.
Your skills come in handy.
Not there.
It's kill or be killed.
It's not the way people are supposed to be. It's the way people have always been. Just pulling the mask off civilization for you to see it. What we have here, we need to defend. Go.
Stavares utiliza la exobición inferior.
Russia, December 26, 2018. An international team of physicists at the Flerov Laboratory successfully fired the DC-280 cyclotron particle accelerator for the first time. Its beam is the most powerful ever recorded among the world's top nuclear facilities. The physicists will use the new facility to work on stabilizing super heavy metals, like element 115, so that their incredible energy potential can be harnessed.
The Flerov Laboratory has been in the forefront of nuclear particle physics research, and on January 29, 2019, TASS news agency came out with an announcement that this year there'll be breakthroughs because they will use many more atoms than before when they discovered element 114 and 115. And definitely there's much more effort that's going on in Dubna today than we know about.
It's center of excellence when it comes to research into super heavy elements. And whenever you're dealing with these super heavy elements, you are dealing with something that has the capability to generate large amounts of energy. And again, this is what Bob Lazar said was the ultimate secret of UFO. So how long will it be before we are out there among the stars? And I think that's where we go next. We are at an interesting time in the development of our species.
If the government has secretly been attempting to reverse engineer a stabilized version of element 115 recovered from an alien craft, will these new experiments accelerate that effort?
I think we've got technology, bits and pieces, maybe an entire craft or more than one craft from somewhere else, stuff that we didn't make. The reality is, if this technology exists, and if we can figure out how it works, and if we can duplicate it, it has limitless potential. It would propel humanity to a new level.
This technology would alter the basic fabric of how we relate to the external world. If you can produce a gravity wave, you've won. That's it. The entire landscape of your reality changes. It is a fearsome technology, a powerful technology, and with great power comes great responsibility.
The idea that extraterrestrials are giving us technology perhaps is an exciting idea, but we have to wonder just what interactions we really are having with extraterrestrials and what they think of us. And I'd like to think that the space programs of our own military and of other countries as well, that we are going to work together, that our own efforts to go into space and other planets are for peaceful purposes and not for ones of conquering other civilizations or taking other people's resources. And I think that the extraterrestrials, too, are watching us for those very reasons.
Are we on the verge of harnessing the awesome power of element 115 and embarking on a journey unlike humanity has ever seen? Perhaps as we reach this critical next step in human evolution, we will finally know the full truth about both our history and our origins, and begin the next chapter of mankind in the cosmos. In ancient traditions around the world, powerful sacred sounds were used to communicate with the heavens.
The whole universe resonates with the sound of.
But was sound also used to create megalithic structures?
They had a certain sound, a certain vibration, and the blocks moved by themselves.
And could seemingly primitive rituals actually have been connected to otherworldly technology?
Within the harmonics and overtones of a complex sound, you can impart all kinds of information.
Ancient astronaut theorist Georgios Tsoukalos and author David Childress have gathered experts in science, religion, and mythology to explore the mysterious power of sound.
Monuments worldwide have acoustic properties, and it's all harmonics.
And the possibility that new discoveries in acoustics could lead to the next giant leap in human evolution.
This is literally getting the right vibrations to create the next experience of reality.
There is a doorway in the universe. Beyond it is the promise of truth. It demands we question everything we have ever been taught. The evidence is all around us. The future is right before our eyes. We are not alone. We have never been alone.
I'm really delighted to be here with you guys because I think that acoustics is definitely something that needs to be explored even further. As humans, music and acoustics are very important to our lives.
Remember, from the Bible, it says, God created the world how?
In the beginning was the Word.
He spoke. It's spoken. Right? The oral tradition is not just words or intellect.
It's an entire tonal thing. When the universe was created, it says that the whole earth has a grid of tones that bounds everything.
That is the same thing in ancient India with Om. They're saying exactly the same thing, that the universe started with one note, a single note,
That's right.
a vibration, and that is the Om sound.
Om is a sacred sound in the Eastern religions of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism.
In the concept of cosmic sound is simply Om. Om is made of 3 letters, A, U, and M. Those 3 letters combined makes the sound Om. And the whole universe resonates with the sound Om.
Om was not just found in Hinduism and Vedic tradition. It's very much used in Buddhism. It's utilized in Jainism and also in Sikhism as well. And it is the most common and most sacred of all mantras in all of these traditions. The concept of Om first appears in the Vedas, religious texts that form the foundation of Hinduism. According to the texts, specific vibrations created through ritualistic chanting, singing, and prayer can provide a direct connection between humans and the gods themselves.
The importance of sound in Hinduism and Buddhism is very, very vital. Without sound, you cannot pronounce a mantra. Mantra is combined words made into invocation.
As described in the Vedic texts, the gods provided humankind with a visual aid to remember these sacred sounds, elaborate patterns called mandalas.
Mandalas are mnemonic devices used to aid meditation, often in tandem with chanting. What's interesting is that in Hindu temples, we have a visual representation of mandalas. So what they're doing is they're essentially translating sound into visual patterns. In modern technology, these are called Chladni patterns.
In 1787, German physicist Ernst Chladni, known as the father of acoustics, published his seminal work, Discoveries in the Theory of Sound. In it, Chladni describes an experiment that shows how vibrations can create exotic geometric shapes.
We've got this thing called the Chladni plate, after the scientist who invented it. It's a thin metal plate, like a sounding board, and we've got a transducer attached to the bottom of it. And they spread sand over the top of this plate, and we start playing certain tones. And those sand particles just start to bounce around and dance around, and they start to form these mathematical circular patterns. And as we move up through these frequencies, the sand goes into kind of a chaos in between state, and then it arrives at this next pattern. And the higher the frequency you go, the more these patterns become more complex.
In the 1960s, Swiss scientist Hans Jenny was experimenting with Chladni patterns when he noticed an extraordinary connection. Jenny tried it with Om, and it generated an image of a circle with a dot in the middle. That itself is actually very interesting, because the most fundamental elements of any mandala will usually be a circle with a dot marking the cosmic center. Today, the patterns made by frequencies are known as cymatics.
In modern technology, we are able to create visual representations of sounds. What is remarkable is that we see the same patterns in Hindu temples, in ancient Indian structures.
Sri Ranganatha Swami Temple in southern India are 40 ornate statues carved from monolithic columns. The statues depict leaping animals, and above them, vimanas, vehicles that, according to ancient Hindu texts, were flown by the gods.
The word vimana in ancient Vedic texts means flying machines.
In Hinduism, it is clearly established that the gods come down from the sky using vimanas.
In the temple of Sri Ranga, these carvings show many different types of vimanas. And what's really unique is that under these vimanas, we are able to see some very interesting patterns of mandalas.
Some researchers believe these mandalas represent more than just an artistic flourish.
According to legend, each type of vimana can be activated with a specific type of mandala. If we crack this visual code, if we crack this cymatic pattern, we might actually unlock the secret to power these vimanas.
Think about all this is somehow connected to cymatics and some of these shapes that we see in the ancient hieroglyphics and some of these structures, megalithic structures, and you can reproduce those with sound waves. And so I wonder if when these patterns occur, when we create these sounds, is this kind of like we're inserting the pen to open up an encrypted PDF file to read the information?
And what they're trying to tell us with a mandala is that this is the cymatic code, the shape, the vibration, the sound that's going to levitate or do whatever. You make this picture with sound and you've done it.
There's knowledge of the ancients, which was concealed because mankind was not considered ready for it. And this was that technology.
Whether you're a homeowner creating your dream space or a pro managing multiple projects, discover a new way to shop at Ferguson Home, where great ideas become stunning spaces. Ferguson Home is designed for the way you want to shop. Explore the best selection of bath, kitchen, and lighting products online, or experience items firsthand in one of our showrooms. Our experts offer personalized support every step of the way. Bring your vision to Ferguson Home, where it all comes together. Shop top brands like Kohler or find your local showroom at fergusonhome.com.
What's interesting about this whole harmonics and cymatics is that this is a universal thing. It's going to be throughout the universe. It's a single
That's
planet.
called the anthropic
It's
principle.
aligned in mathematics.
We have discovered all these extreme amplitudes of acoustic sounds, and right now we're currently working on how we might be using it for future technologies. So let me tell you a story about an event that happened very recently. Two scientists have done an experiment. They go into the great detailed map of the quantum interaction with the sound interaction, and they call that a phonon-photon interaction. Phonon is the particle for sound, and discovered that sound can trigger this negative mass effect.
In March 2019, scientists at Columbia University in New York City made a shocking discovery that redefined the known laws of physics. In an experiment, physicist Angelo Esposito demonstrated that phonons are affected by gravity, but in a highly unexpected way. Instead of being forced down towards the Earth, phonons actually rise upwards.
Scientists discovered that the phonon itself has mass, which nobody thought it had before. But the closer they looked, they realized that it wasn't mass at all. It was negative mass and negative gravity.
It turns out that under certain conditions with sound waves can actually start to rise rather than fall. And this was an anomaly, but yes, it seems to be consistent with the laws of physics, that certain vibrations, instead of falling down, can actually fall up.
To me, that's experimental evidence that you can, if you understand sound the right way, use it to levitate heavy things.
So could this imply that the ancient stories of levitation of stones, that some type of technology like that was implemented?
That's right. And that comes back to this whole idea with cymatics, which is where we're taking certain sounds and putting them in what we'll call standing waves, and they produce these amazing geometric figures. And you could envision, if you knew the way to manipulate this the right way, you could make three-dimensional figures with it even. Right? You could have sound not just underneath it, but all around it. And in fact, I've seen one where there are multiple transducers in a way, and they can levitate little styrofoam balls and ping pong balls just by having the sound in the right way, and even do multiple ones in configuration.
So imagine if you could amplify the power, if you could amplify the principle. Wouldn't that, or couldn't that apply? Because we have ancient stories in ancient Egypt, in England, some of the Stonehenge blocks, according to some of the legends, magician Merlin was able to levitate those stones across the plains of England.
Right. Is it possible that the same principles utilized to move sand particles and larger objects, such as ping pong balls, could also be used on a larger scale to lift and move much heavier objects? Curiously, a great number of stories can be found in the ancient world that involve the use of sound to levitate massive stones.
All the way around the world, there are myths and legends relating to the movement of stone blocks using sound technology. These are found amongst the Maya of Mexico, the Phoenicians of the Near East, and in Tibet.
We have stories in ancient Egypt even, where they seem to be able to move the stone effortlessly from one place to another, some weighed hundreds of tons.
In the 10th century AD, the Arab historian Abu Hassan Ali al-Masudi wrote that the Egyptians were visited by beings known as the guardians of the sky, who gave them knowledge that enabled them to levitate the massive limestone blocks with which they built the Great Pyramid.
In old Egypt, they had a certain sound, a certain vibration, and the blocks moved by themselves. They show a technology which we do not have.
If acoustic technology was used to levitate massive stones, as ancient astronaut theorists suggest, might knowledge of this technology have been left for humankind to rediscover?
This levitation technology is exotic because we have no idea how to do this today. For thousands of years now, we've turned this into the realm of legends and myths. The fact that we have stories of these ancient gods, in my opinion, is
that we are suggesting that our ancestors misinterpreted these beings as gods because their technology far surpassed their current frame of reference.
Right. So these beings from our ancient past had probably figured this out in order to do whatever it was they did. And that lends us down the road of how do we figure it out? And that's something that I'm really intrigued by.
This technology will not only transform our society, it'll change our world.
Whether you're a homeowner creating your dream space or a pro managing multiple projects, discover a new way to shop at Ferguson Home, where great ideas become stunning spaces. Ferguson Home is designed for the way you want to shop. Explore the best selection of bath, kitchen, and lighting products online, or experience items firsthand in one of our showrooms. Our experts offer personalized support every step of the way. Bring your vision to Ferguson Home, where it all comes together. Shop top brands like Polar or find your local showroom at fergusonhome.com.
It's time. The Genesis Signature event going on now for a limited time. Lease the 2026 G70 for $279 per month. Exclusively for Tri-State Genesis retailers.
If you or your family suffer from allergies, those irritants are floating in your home right now. Meet the Air Doctor, proven to improve your indoor air quality and overall health. Say goodbye to pollen, smoke, mold spores, pet dander, even viruses. Because the Ultra HEPA filter removes virtually 100% of dangerous contaminants down to 0.003 microns. That means you can breathe easy, knowing your family can get relief from allergies and asthma and reduce airborne diseases.
Get 40% off the award-winning Air Doctor only at tryairdoctor.com.
To me, this is fascinating that there seems to be acoustics and sound that reach the realm of the gods. The path of the 10 Sefirot in the Kabbalah speak of the energy vortexes which vibrate in 5 different harmonics called vowels, which is called tonal technology. This knowledge was considered too dangerous to be publicly displayed. And according to the stories and the legends, this technology was unleashed and it destroyed the world.
So, well, first they destroyed Jericho, right? With their
Jericho came later, but actually when you're bringing up Jericho, the whole story of the Ark of the Covenant and the marching, this is only just one simple biblical example.
The Hebrew Bible's book of Joshua tells the story of how Israel conquered Canaan, beginning with the Battle of Jericho. According to the story, God commanded the Israelites to march around the seemingly impenetrable walls of Jericho once a day for 6 straight days, carrying with them the Ark of the Covenant. But on the 7th day, they were to circle Jericho 7 times, making tremendous noise.
On the 7th day, as they circle it, they blow the trumpets, and it's the sound that brings the walls down. And you can think of that from an engineering perspective. Is it the trumpets and the vibration, the sound of the trumpets that somehow resonates with a particular frequency in the brick of the walls that causes these walls to collapse?
Is it possible that the story of Jericho is a historical account of acoustic technology being used thousands of years ago? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and point to other stories that describe the power of the Ark of the Covenant.
What I have always found fascinating is that we have stories of these magical incantations. Right. But operating something with voice commands. If you don't know what that is, that's a magical incantation.
This is the interesting thing, because when you look at the Ark of the Covenant, you look at the high priest. The high priest, of course, would speak to God, wearing the breastplate of judgment that had the 12 stones on it. The high priest would approach the Ark of the Covenant, and he would start to recite certain tones, sounds. These were very deep, tonal, throat-type chants. The tones were said to then cause the stones to vibrate, and they would send out lights, and then the ark somehow would react to this. There's some active energy there, which we call the glory or kavod of God. It's not God, but it's some actual energy field that you would be in the presence. Remember, you couldn't go into or a machine. That's right. Something was there that if you went too close, you died.
I'll tell you exactly what that sounds to me like. This breastplate has optical and or acousto-optical transceivers on it, and they are handshaking, which is what the old school acoustic phone modems would do when you would call up, or the fax machine calls up, to connect to the other side.
What we're seeing here is that they would use it to link heaven and earth.
The idea that sound can facilitate communication between man and divine beings, like the Hindu use of Om, is a common theme in religious traditions throughout the world.
All religions really use music, and you see that in worship services. With the cantor, with the psalms in the Jewish tradition, choir in Christian traditions, even the Islamic tradition, where there's no formal music, there's a melody to the recitation of the Quran. Every culture has the idea that this music connects us with the divine.
For many religious practices, just as important as musical traditions are the locations in which the rituals are performed.
A choir singing in Chartres Cathedral is magical because of the architectural space. And so these architectural spaces in all these various cultures, from these kind of secret monasteries in the Far East and in the Middle East, were famous for having architectural designed spaces that call up the sacred.
Interestingly, a growing number of archaeologists believe some of the world's oldest structures were specifically designed to accentuate acoustic properties.
Like all of you, I'm always keeping up on the latest archaeological developments and research, and I think it's really fascinating that monuments worldwide have acoustic properties. What they're finding is that these were chambers that were designed where you would have this acoustic experience that you heard, but you also felt it in your bones, in your tissue.
Yeah, they call this archaeoacoustics.
Archaeoacoustics is an interdisciplinary field of archaeology dedicated to examining how sound and acoustics were utilized in the ancient world.
It's a relatively new field, and archaeoacoustics is looking at the sound quality of ancient sites, historical sites, archaeological sites, where we see music probably played a role. Stonehenge is one of those. Where you stand in the middle of Stonehenge, you would create the sound blast of music, whatever implements were used, but we're not really sure. And it would bounce off the stones and create this sort of echo chamber.
Stonehenge functioned as a sonic temple. By this, what I mean is that individuals in the centre of the monument would create musical sounds, particularly of a low frequency, that would be contained actually inside the stones and build up an energy, if you like, for a purpose which we can only guess at right now.
All around the world, Archaeologists have identified numerous ancient sites that were designed according to acoustic principles, such as Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, the Hypogeum in Malta, and the Newgrange Passage Tomb in Ireland.
Newgrange has very strong acoustic properties. What they found is that the way the sound waves bounce around the chamber, they create what's called standing waves, and they increase in intensity and sound.
According to some researchers, curious carvings found inside Newgrange provide key evidence documenting that the structure was purposely designed to have elaborate acoustic properties.
And it seems that these were standing waves recorded actually within the chamber itself. You can see these zigzags carved all over the place, suggesting that they not only understood acoustics, but they were recording the experience within the chambers. The other thing of real interest is the fact that when they investigate the corbel roof, which is like multiple mega-sized stones, almost going around a spiral, they found that these had been adjusted, and they found the reason for that was because they were tuning the chamber acoustically.
Is it merely coincidence that ancient structures all over the world appear to have been designed by different civilizations that demonstrate such similar acoustic properties? Or might they share a very common purpose? And if so, why?
I mean, it's fascinating, the whole idea of these vibrations and acoustics within these ancient sites, and that they were purposely created that way.
Yeah, they were set up for an extraordinary human experience that potentially then this can enable an experience with an otherworldly being, even like a godlike being. They were signifying it was a place, that they were opening up a spiritual portal by doing the ceremony, chanting, maybe beating drums or something, to their ancestor gods or to their sky gods. What we're seeing here is that these were meeting grounds of humans and the gods.
Food safety starts long before you open the bag. It begins in the field, where quality is evaluated before harvest. Behind every salad is a dedicated team that inspects, tests, and verifies quality throughout the process. Every bag is carefully checked before it leaves our facilities. Fresh Express. Freshness you can trust.
The world it was doesn't exist. We're the survivors.
He's a Marine from Oklahoma.
Sure skills come in handy. Out there, it's kill or be killed. It's not the way people are supposed to be. It's the way people have always been. Just pulling the mask off civilization for you to see it. What we have here, we need to defend. Go. Dog stars, 50 years in the next August 2023
AI. Isn't that great?
Så kan det gå bort.
We help cut through the AI noise.
Hi, Shane. Is now a good time?
Absolutely. So you can solve the business problems that matter most. Here's the plan. AI solutions from PwC.
Attention! Now you can get AT&T wireless starting at $25 per month per line for 4 lines.
Huh?
Yeah, you heard that right. $25 per month per line for 4 lines. One for each member of the family. It's a summer deal that hits just right. I think you missed a spot.
Family group chat's gonna be fire.
Learn how to get 4 lines of AT&T wireless for $25 per month per line.
The interesting thing about these resonance chambers, one thing we have discovered at these low frequencies, you actually can be in a sort of a trance-like state from it. Apparently there's a psychological or spiritual effect. This was used with shamanistic practices. Ancient religious leaders, commonly known as shaman, were seen as links between humans and a higher realm. For the shaman, sound was not used merely to make a spiritual connection with the divine, but to actually interact with otherworldly beings.
The term shaman comes from Siberian religious practices, and it means somebody who can see the underlying fabric of These are the negotiators between this world and the other world. They could step into the other world to negotiate with otherworldly forces.
Individuals, shamans, when they chanted, when they sung, when they used the instruments, it was to enter into altered states of consciousness so that they could communicate with spirit entities and perhaps connect with what we might describe as ancient aliens.
The point is that the shamanistic practices all built upon what? Chants, sounds, altered states of consciousness, which bring you into connection with extraterrestrials, aliens, whatever is out there.
That's a really interesting point, Rabbi. You know, we have discovered that sound waves can actually control our brain.
In the 1960s, neuroscientists discovered that rhythm and acoustics can produce a physiological change in the human brain through a process known as entrainment.
If I can create a pulsing in the external environment that's pulsing at a brainwave speed, my brainwaves will try to match that speed to save energy, and my consciousness will change in the process. So we can do that using just a drum to change consciousness at will. If I hook you up to an EEG machine so I can look at your brainwaves, and normally when we're awake, my brainwaves are generating beta function, which is rapid, between 13 hertz and 38. And the drum beat is at 5. And my brainwaves are going to start slowing down and slowing down, slower, to take my consciousness from a waking state into a dream state without going to sleep first, which means that's a classic definition of a trance. The earliest examples of brain entrainment would be shamanic drumming. The speed of the drum beat tends to be around 5 hertz, and that's about like this. That's about it. That's about 5 hertz. And 5 hertz is where your brain goes when you're dreaming at night. The whole idea is to transform consciousness.
They were trying to achieve a connection with the divine, with the otherworldly.
If modern science has proven that shamanic drumming does, in fact, induce a state of trance, could it also be true that it enables extrasensory abilities and even allows for communication with other realms? While it may sound like a far-fetched notion, in 1995, the U.S. government revealed that brain entrainment was part of its top-secret spying program called Project Stargate. Operatives in this clandestine unit gathered intelligence about persons, places, and events from great distances by sensing with their minds. A practice called remote viewing. During the 1970s, President Jimmy Carter's administration used remote viewers to locate a downed Russian spy plane in Africa.
You talk to any of the old remote viewers, the ones from the Stargate program, they'll tell you how accurate and how important and how relevant their information is.
John Vivanco has been working in the field of remote viewing as both a teacher and practitioner for more than 20 years.
I worked with corporations, intelligence, counterterror for the FBI after 9/11.
At the start of every remote viewing session, John uses specific sounds to entrain his brainwaves and create a trance-like state.
What we do with remote viewing before we do a session is cool down. We will meditate, and one of the aids that we'll use are binaural beats. So if you think about frequencies in the ear, we'll listen to these sounds. So if one ear is pulsing a sound of, let's just say, 6 hertz, and in another ear it's pulsing a sound of 4 hertz, your brain waves will synchronize to around 5 hertz. And we like to stay in that zone in order to get the best information.
John claims that by entering this trance state, remote viewers have gathered more than just information. They've also encountered otherworldly beings.
We were working a project around the Arecibo Radio Observatory, and I was the first viewer on this particular tasking, and I started to get these beings, these aliens. I just remember during the session, I kept saying, they're coming, they're coming, they're coming, and they started to take notice of me. And I'm starting to freak out because I've got tons of adrenaline flowing through me. I'm in fight or flight. It telepathically communicated with me, and it said, we are here to help you, and we want you to help us. The other viewers started to experience the same thing. And so that's when we started to, okay, now, I'm not hallucinating. This is absolutely real.
Travis, you can speak to this probably in more detail, but we live in a spectrum, right? We see a very tiny sliver of reality. And what if these frequencies, what if they're like dials? You can, like, you're turning the radio dial. I'm not in the Earth frequency anymore. I'm just going to tune it a little bit in this space, and I'm going to be able to see what's actually there. So, what if, and this is a what if, you're in this perfect spot, what if that shifts you slightly in the spectrum that you can perceive?
How about this? If we could actually, through science, find the proper resonances, tones, that'll actually put us in contact with whom?
The ancestors.
The only way to find out is to knock on the door, go through, and say, who's there?
I tried this blurry nail polish and wow. Okay, look, it's called Active Blur from Manicurist. At first I thought it was just another nail polish, but when you put it on, it literally blurs your nails. Like if you have ridges, uneven texture, little imperfections, it just smooths everything visually. One coat and your nails instantly look cleaner, more even, kind of like your nails but upgraded. And the best part is, it's super easy. No base coat, no top coat. You just swipe it on and you're done. But it's not just for the look either. The formula has AHAs, vitamin E, and plant extracts to help hydrate and strengthen your nails over time. So it's basically skincare disguised as nail polish. Honestly, if you like that natural, clean nail look, you should try this.
The world that was doesn't exist. We're the survivors.
He's out of read from Oklahoma.
Sure skills come in handy. Out there, it's kill or be killed. It's not the way people are supposed to be. It's the way people have always been. Just pulling the mask off civilization for you to see it. And what we have here, we need to defend. So I said, so it's going to be who we are.
It's Monday, so you don't get paid till Friday, and rent is due tomorrow. I just almost broke down in front of my fiance, telling her that I don't have enough money to pay the bills this week. But she put me onto this app. No interest rates, no credit checks, and they just give you a cash advance before your next paycheck.
There's an ancient book called Frederick Johannes, or the chapter of song, wherein which is revealed that everything in nature has its own vibration, which means it has its own consciousness.
Right. We call that mechanical resonance.
Everything is alive.
And that comes back to the universe itself as this mishmash of vibrations, and it's singing a song, so to speak. And if we learn how to interpret and or manipulate the song, then we can interpret and or manipulate the universe.
And it's all harmonics. It's all harmonics. So we've got to go back to Pythagoras with his music of the spheres concept, because he comes up with the idea of the musical scale and the musical ratios.
In the 6th century BC, Pythagoras, the famous Greek mathematician and philosopher, made an acoustic discovery that would reverberate
through history.
Pythagoras was, in a certain sense, the father of modern mathematics. He gave us the base 10 formula for our Western system of numbers. He discovered a divine symmetry, so to speak, in all things that exist.
One day, Pythagoras is walking by the blacksmith, and he's hearing some harmony coming out from the smithy area there. And so, with the kind of persistence of a scientist, he figures out that if a hammer is twice the weight of another hammer, and they both strike at the same time, the notes they make are harmony.
The great discovery he made is that the waves generated, say, by strings or wind instruments, could be converted into clear notes and scales by using fractions and discrete ratios. So Pythagoras did this amazing job of taking math and geometry and tying it to music, which then led to the entire Western musical scale.
Pythagoras' study of harmonics led him to theorize that everything in the universe, including planets and stars, exists in a constant state of vibration. Incredibly, he was right.
2,000 years ago, the Greeks asked an elemental question. What paradigm can explain the entire complexity of the universe? Pythagoras said, music has the complexity to explain the diversity of the universe itself. So in other words, our universe resonates with the notes from music. Pythagoras said that everything is based on music, which in turn is based on certain ratios, thirds, fifths, octaves. So why not explain the solar system this way? If you look at Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, they are aligned according to certain ratios. Maybe these ratios are the ratios of strings. And so he called it music of the spheres. When planets move around the solar system, he thought they must create music. Music that we cannot hear. This is heavenly music. Music of the angels. But nonetheless, that would explain the regularity of the solar system itself. And so we thought you could explain the universe through music.
Pythagoras felt he was unlocking a kind of code of creation. He was providing humanity with the language of the gods, so to speak.
Pythagoras said it was Apollo, the sun god, who taught him about all of these advanced concepts and laying down the basis for modern music and everything that we know about music. So there's an extraterrestrial connection here that is very important for us to think about. All this talk about music and frequencies and harmonics all boils down to mathematics, correct? According to the ancient Kabbalistic text, math, complemented with appropriate harmonics, are going to align with the natural, harmonic, or universal pattern of the universe. We are talking about the hidden, sacred knowledge of the ancients, which was their secret technology, their way of reaching out to the higher dimensions, whether they be to angels or gods or ancient aliens.
Gold tea isn't made with real gold, but it is brewed with real tea leaves and real cane sugar, which makes it more valuable than gold. If you value delicious tasting tea.
Ven pronto durante este el evento del verano de Jeep para una gran oferta aplicada. Obtén financiamiento APR al 0% o 4.500 de bono en Jeep Grand Cherokee. O obtén financiamiento APR al 4.9% por 72 meses en Grand Wagoneer. Ven por la mejor selección y modelos 2026 de la marca más patriota de América durante el evento del verano de Jeep.
O los arrendatarios actuales bien calificados de Jeep Wrangler o Grand Cherokee por BuyE pueden arrendar el Jeep Wrangler Sport S 2026 por $299 al mes. Visita tu agencia de marca Jeep del área triestatal.
The world that was doesn't exist. We're the survivors.
I'm glad to read from Oklahoma.
Sure skills come in handy.
Not there.
Skill or be killed.
It's not the way people are supposed to be. It's the way people have always been.
Just pulling the mask off civilization for you to see. What we have here, you and me, we need to defend. Go. I'm still out of 60 years of my next always going to be anything you know.
This is a really interesting conversation about all these different acoustic properties. I've always thought that there's a different pattern. I've always called it the God fractal. That I think if you found it, it would be like the mathematical instructions to building the universe or whatever. Have you seen diagrams throughout history or whatever that to you suggest the pattern?
The flower of life. I was just about to say. It has to be the flower of life, the symbol of creation itself. Constructed of overlapping circles, the flower of life holds all geometric forms within its design. One of the oldest known examples of this sacred geometry can be found in the Temple of Osiris in Egypt, a structure archaeologists claim is 6,000 years old. The flower of life symbol is considered the seed symbol of all symbols. The ancient Egyptians understood this symbol came from the heavens.
The flower of life is very special. It's really a mandala that may have something to do with the geometric nature of the universe. We don't know exactly what it did. Perhaps it was really symbolizing some device. There's a sound device, a harmonic device, something that's highly technical and was used by these ancient cultures.
Is it possible that extraterrestrials have used acoustics to guide humankind for thousands of years? And if so, did they hide clues in ancient traditions? Structures that create altered states of consciousness and sacred shapes in the form of cymatic patterns. Perhaps the next great leap forward will occur once we tune in to the extraterrestrial messages around us.
I think, Gene, the opportunity we have here for cracking this harmonic code is we don't talk about a golden age and a time when we're going to see extraterrestrial presence on this planet, and this could be the key to it. Harmony is the right key word there.
Exactly. Yeah, right. The whole universe to be in harmony, yeah.
So this is literally getting the right vibrations to match with the right vibrations to create the next experience of reality.
I like that. Guys, look, this has been an absolutely incredible conversation. And I think we've established that there is way more to the world that we know of. There's way more to our reality and also what we can perceive with our senses. And I can't wait to continue this at some other time. To be continued. Winged creatures carrying messages from the heavens. Unearthly guardians entrusted to both observe and protect. Powerful warriors bringing about everything from plague to peace. But are angels merely the product of mankind's imagination? Or do they really exist? If so, where do they come from?
When angels appear, they begin to do things that defy our laws of physics.
I don't think they actually had wings. It was ancient man's way of saying they had the power of flight.
Are angels really supernatural beings from heaven? Or something more?
It's essentially a misinterpreted flesh and blood extraterrestrial who visited Earth a long, long time ago.
Millions of people around the world believe we have been visited in the past by extraterrestrial beings. What if it were true? Did ancient aliens really help to shape our history? If so, might angels really be travelers visiting the Earth from distant planets? Angels. According to a Nielsen survey taken in 2010, nearly 70% of Americans believe in their existence. But what are they? Winged visitors from God as depicted in the Bible? Smiling cherubs who peer down at us from billowing clouds? Or something much, much more?
The concept of angels is obviously very widespread, certainly in American culture, and you find it in Latin culture, Greek culture, Babylonian culture.
When we think of angels, we immediately think to the Bible, but when you go onto the internet, when you read books, you will find that people have visitations of angels every single day.
In the Hebrew Bible's book of Genesis, angels first appear as divine beings, sent to earth as messengers of God.
They want to have God interacting with the human beings, but it seems so undignified to have God directly operating, and so he sent messengers.
The word angel is a mistranslation. In Hebrew, the word for angel is malach. However, the correct translation is not angel at all, but it is in fact messenger. In Greek, the word angelos is not angel. It is intermediary, middleman. And so what do we have in these stories? We have these intermediaries, these messengers, bringing information from quote-unquote God.
By definition, angels are otherworldly. Angels are extraterrestrial. They're not from this planet. So really, by definition, ETs and angels are the same. Now, our modern conception of ETs have changed, but go back thousands and thousands of years when angels lived among our biblical ancestors. They didn't call them ETs, they called them angels, but they knew they were not of this world, not of this planet.
But could some of these so-called messengers of God have served another function? One not so benevolent or benign. According to the book of Enoch, the so-called lost biblical text that was rediscovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls in the late 1940s, the first angels to arrive on Earth were the fallen angels.
It was on Mount Hermon that angels came down from the heavens, fallen angels, to inhabit Earth. They were trying to assume power, and because of that, they were cast out from heaven and cast down to Earth.
Now, to me, this sounds more of a mutiny story, where extraterrestrials arrived here, and there was a type of rift, and so they split into two different factions. And the faction that split off is what today is referred to as the fallen angels.
Enoch was a believer in angels, fallen angels, visitations, but everything he put in his scriptures seemed to imply, to me, extraterrestrial visitation. From he saw, the mountainsides that they would land, to them taking him around and telling him things.
Both in the book of Enoch and in the Hebrew Bible, the fallen angels act in direct opposition to God's will by interbreeding with humans.
In Genesis 6, it talks about the sons of gods plural, mating with the daughters of men, and there was a certain evil connotation to it.
How can angels have sex? Enoch describes of it. Some of the extraterrestrials stood on Earth. They had sex with some of our girls. That is what is written down in Enoch. It's not my invention. Enoch never calls them gods. He calls them guardian of the skies or watchman.
According to ancient texts, the fallen angels not only physically mated with the women of Earth, they produced offspring. The Nephilim, a race of giants, similar to those portrayed in the story of David and Goliath. But ancient astronaut theorists suggest the use of the term giants is misleading. They theorize that the term refers not to the Nephilim's physical size, but to their almost superhuman ability.
Were they giants? Or is that the wrong word, and the correct word should be extraterrestrial? Because then, in my opinion, it makes more sense, because so far I have not seen an original fossil of a giant bone.
But if, as many ancient astronaut theorists believe, fallen angels were really extraterrestrials that thrived in the Middle East, wouldn't they have also appeared elsewhere in the world? For proof, researchers point to thousands of carvings and other depictions of winged guardians, strange creatures, and other half-man and half-beasts that commonly appear on ancient walls and artifacts.
There is such an enormous amount of evidence to suggest that angels are not something which Christianity invented, but that they were somehow physically present in all civilizations.
Ancient cultures that depicted the gods as winged creatures are the Sumerians, the Babylonians, certainly the Egyptians. All of these civilizations had symbols where there may have been a winged disc, or there may have been what we would call today probably a UFO. I believe they were just letting us know that these beings flew.
In the Middle East in particular, there were depictions of supernatural beings with wings. The demons of Mesopotamia, the Zuzu, which had the head of a lion and the body of a human and the wings of a locust. They were primarily soldiers of the higher gods, servants of the higher gods. The higher gods depended on these messengers. They would run back and forth and gather information.
The Bible may be the most thoroughly documented account of extraterrestrial contact ever in written history here on Earth. We just simply have not learned how to interpret and how to identify the clear and obvious evidence that the seraphim, the cherubim, the archangels, the angels, all of these different hierarchies of beings described in the Old and the New Testament literally do refer to visitors who come here.
Use the word extraterrestrials instead of the word of angel. Use the word of a leader of extraterrestrials instead of archangel. If you change a few words in the old text, a few keywords, you change the sense of the old text. It's all not coincidence, it was on purpose. It's time to wake up, to see these things with modern eyes.
But if, as ancient astronaut theorists maintain, angels are not ethereal winged beings, but actually flesh and blood creatures visiting us from other planets. Why are they here? And if they are messengers, just who or what do they represent?
It's time. The Genesis signature event going on now for a limited time. Get 1.99% APR on the GT70 or lease for $339 per month. Exclusively at Tri-State Genesis retailers.
This is a story about the one who can fix nearly anything, and turns to Granger, who has almost everything. He troubleshoots issues, maintains the facility, and keeps it all on track. Few may seem to put the work in, but when they see the results, they know he's the one who keeps the doors open. The high-quality industrial products you need, plus a million more. Call clickgranger.com or stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Ven pronto durante ACE el evento del verano de Jeep para una gran oferta americana. Obtén financiamiento APR al 0% o 4.500 de bono en Jeep Grand Cherokee. Obtén financiamiento APR al 4.9% por 72 meses en Grand Wagoneer. Ven por la mejor selección en modelos 2026 de la marca más patriota de América durante ACE el evento del verano de Jeep.
O los arrendatarios FCA actuales bien calificados pueden arrendar la Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited 4x4 2026 por $419 al mes. Visita tu agencia de marca Jeep del área triestatal.
Betterment presents Breadament with Drake and Michael May. Because of Betterment, Drake didn't have to think about making bread this off-season. He could focus on baking it with Ann Michael.
While Betterment was automatically diversifying and rebalancing our portfolios, I was fixing Drake's spiral. It was all over the place.
It's pretty good to me.
Could be tighter.
When Betterment helps you make bread, you can focus on baking it.
I love bread.
That's the Betterment effect.
Mount Sodom, Israel. A pillar of rock salt known as Lot's Wife overlooks the southwestern part of the Dead Sea, near the presumed location of the biblical cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. In both the Hebrew book of Genesis and the Islamic Quran, angels traveled to the spot to warn Abraham's nephew Lot that God was about to unleash terror upon the world.
And the angel finally says to Lot, if you don't come now with your family, 2 girls and a wife, I cannot help you anymore. It looks as if a countdown was working which could not be stopped anymore. If even the angel cannot stop it.
Sure enough, they walk away, and there's this mayhem and destruction. His wife turns around, and she turns into a pillar of salt. Since the ancient astronaut theory proposes that angels were nothing else but misinterpreted flesh and blood extraterrestrials, this means that extraterrestrials did side with certain people. Were angels or extraterrestrials interfering with human development? But if angels saved Lot and his family from the wrath of God, is this proof that angels are more than just otherworldly messengers? Might they be more actively engaged in helping their human counterparts, even to the extent that they might still be affecting the outcome of human history? Once again, ancient astronaut theorists look to the Book of Enoch for their answer, and claim to have found evidence in its references to a race of fallen angels known as Watchers.
There's much debate amongst religious scholars about the fallen angels. Some say they were deliberately sent here to watch over man. And in the book of Enoch specifically, we have 20 watchers which are sort of in charge of all the other angels that are in Enoch's presence. So you have the commanders and the officers and the lieutenants, and those 20 deliberately teach Enoch in various disciplines, such as meteorology, astronomy, how to make better swords. Now, would something like this really happen in the kingdom of God? I think the answer is clear.
Where did they come from? What do they want? And if we're dealing with one or more intelligences, that maybe they have different agendas, but maybe there is something out there that has been an ally to evolving hominids, and we're the latest model.
In the Bible, angels often appear to humans as physical entities that can be seen, heard, and even touched. But today, many people believe angels are present, whether they can see them or not. According to a 2008 survey by Baylor University's Institute for Studies of Religion, 55% of all American adults believe a guardian angel protects them.
The popularity of guardian angels in modern culture, I think, has to do with the idea that we want some kind of supernatural protection in a world where we don't really feel very safe oftentimes.
The Islamic faith teaches that every human being has not one, but two guardian angels, one for each shoulder. These celestial beings are called writing angels because they write down the good deeds and the bad deeds in each person's life. The first so-called guardian angel to appear in Judeo-Christian texts is the angel Raphael, who was featured in the book of Tobit, written sometime between the 8th and 2nd century BC.
Tobit is off on a very difficult mission. He's going to go to Persia to find a wife. And he runs into all sorts of problems on the way. So God sends the angel Raphael. And now we have the angel not just as a messenger from God, he becomes a guardian angel. He becomes a special protector.
The idea of guardian angel, is it just because we wish it? We believe it, that somebody is protecting us? Or does it come from the past? Has it to do maybe something with extraterrestrial? In the sense that some extraterrestrial said to some human, we protect you. Don't be afraid.
What is the guardian angel guarding us from? Why is that guardian angel protecting us? And is it more than one? Short answer to that is absolutely yes. He's guarding us from what? The fallen angels.
Judeo-Christian and Islamic tradition, there's an idea that there will be some kind of final warfare when God defeats Satan once and for all. That's been interpreted by some people to say that the aliens will come back and they'll fight it out again one final time.
Both the Book of Enoch and the New Testament book of Revelation refers to a final cosmic battle of good versus evil. Other biblical stories include accounts of angels wielding extraordinary powers. Angels who are not just guardians, but who intervene in human affairs. But who are these celestial warriors? The New Testament's Acts of the Apostles tells the story of St. Peter, who is imprisoned in Jerusalem by King Herod in 44 AD.
Peter is asleep between two soldiers, so the angel walks through the wall. He's a physical being because he touches Peter, tells Peter to wake up, come with me. He unshackles Peter, and he says to Peter, follow me. The prison cell opens, Peter walks out, and the first thing he notices, all the guards are asleep. They get out to the courtyard. This huge prison gate opens by itself, and Peter walks out, and he's free. Angel walks a little bit longer, it's gone.
Is the freeing of St. Peter an alien encounter story? Or is it a true story of heavenly angels commanding otherworldly powers?
A lot of the times, modern contactees say, well, these things have come to me in my dreams. They can come through my walls, all my doors are locked, my windows are shut, and all of a sudden I open my eyes and there is a being there.
Some might say these accounts of visitations by angels are a result of imagination or projection, but I take them as actual historical accounts because they're presented that way.
We look at the case of religion, we can see clear evidence of extraterrestrial human visitors who have come here and have tried to help improve conditions in our civilization. And they have been consistently trying to help the Earth along, which may in fact be leading up to a galactic family reunion, where after a certain point, when we're ready, they no longer have to follow the prime directive, if you will, and again show themselves to us.
But whether angels are, in fact, supernatural or extraterrestrial beings, artists have nearly always depicted them as having large, almost bird-like wings. But where does this notion come from? From ancient texts? Or from a more mysterious source? A source not from the heavens, but from places thousands of light years away.
Whether you're a homeowner creating your dream space or a pro managing multiple projects, discover a new way to shop at Ferguson Home, where great ideas become stunning spaces. Ferguson Home is designed for the way you want to shop. Explore the best selection of bath, kitchen, and lighting products online, or experience items firsthand in one of our showrooms. Our experts offer personalized support every step of the way. Bring your vision to Ferguson Home, where it all comes together. Shop top brands like Kohler or find your local showroom at fergusonhome.com.
Did you hear about the new trend called soap nails? All the beauty media are talking about it. Ultra shiny, natural and healthy looking nails, the Clean Grow manicure is trending. I wanted to try it, but my nails were in bad shape. So I looked for a polish that would give me that soap nails look while also repairing my nails. And that's when I found this one. This nail polish is a hybrid of makeup and nail care. It strengthens, nourishes, and repairs your nails while giving them a naturally glossy finish. That's the active innovation from Manicurist, a French brand that I love. These nail treatments are so innovative they've won multiple awards, including the ELF First Class Beauty Award in the Polish Perfection category. On their website, you can find the perfect treatment for your nails, whether you need strength, hydration, or repair. Plus, there are 5 all-in-one perfectors to choose from. Personally, I love the Active Glow for its ultra glowy finish and how it cares for my nails. But the Active Shine is perfect for weak nails that need extra hydration, antioxidant protection, and a highlighter-like finish. They have a full range of treatments to help you get your healthiest, best-looking nails ever. So pick yours.
A house is something you buy. A home is something you make. And for nearly 30 years, we've helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. So leave it to the pros who'll get your jobs done well.
Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust.
We used Angie and found a pro who was so invested in installing our picture window, he looked after it like it was his own.
So we needed to pick someone to look after our home, we knew who to trust.
Thank you.
It's a will.
Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust.
Stored in the treasury of St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican is the sarcophagus of Junius Passus. Constructed in 359 AD, the sarcophagus features what some believe to be the earliest known depiction of winged angels in all of Christianity. In the centuries that followed, angels were almost always depicted as having wings. But why? Especially since the actual biblical texts rarely describe angels as having bird-like appendages.
The vast majority of the stories in the Old Testament, angels aren't described as having wings at all. Some of them, they look human. When the angel comes to visit Abraham, this angel does not have wings. He looks like a man. Abraham bows to him, which is interesting. How did Abraham know? If he looks like a human being, what was it that gave Abraham the clue to run over and bow down to him? And so there's a supernatural quality, there's a superhuman quality that they acknowledge that this was a person who was a little more than human.
The concept of the angel as such comes directly out of the Greco-Roman tradition. Stories of Hermes and Iris kind of coming down and giving messages. Envisioning them as beings, like human beings, kind of looking like human beings, and being benevolent. There are plenty of other beings which have these beautiful wings, these kind of forms and shapes, but all of these beings, however they are conceived of, are a way of telling us that we have a hard time understanding what it is that separates us from them, from the gods. They have to be these kind of weird beings who have wings.
Angels show up in various cultures as probably misidentified technology. If they saw someone, a human being or a humanoid, flying in the skies, they could only give it a natural review, giving it wings. I don't think they actually had wings. It was ancient man's way of saying they had the power of flight.
The angels that have wings that we're used to seeing depicted in pictures of the Bible and what have you, basically the wings say these beings can fly. So, we believe in angels, and the Native Americans talk about the star people. The Egyptians talk about the gods coming to and from the earth. So I believe this is the basis, this is the template for the civilizations of the earth's religious practices. I believe that.
For centuries, religious tradition has perpetuated the notion of bird-like wings to explain an angel's mode of travel. But is such a concept even scientifically plausible? In 2009, a study at University College London compared classic depictions of winged angels with actual bird physiology.
You have to be able to flap down and flap up. And you really need a separate muscle to do each of these. On the way down, you're generating the lift. And you actually have to rotate the wing slightly and get a different angle as you come up. And then they actually generate their thrust. Otherwise, if you just went up and down in the same straight pattern, you'd be making lift one way, but when you went back the other way, you just push yourself back down. So when you look at the classic pictures of angels, the wings are centered on their back, very close together. Whereas the birds with the wings on the side can have longer muscles with a great strength that go into moving them up and down. With the wings on the back, they're going to look like they're going to flap more like this than up and down.
Researchers also concluded that angels, given their humanoid interpretation, would be simply too heavy for flight.
We're not designed aerodynamically, and we're quite heavy. We're solid bones, solid muscle. So those two features you have to overcome.
But if angels could not have possessed actual wings, how would they have managed to travel to and from the heavens? Angels were never described to fly around like Superman, but they sort of had a vertical ascent into the sky
Or when they descended, it was a vertical descent. How was that possible? In 1953, Bell Aerosystems developed the rocket belt, the precursor to today's workable jetpack. Designed to lift individuals vertically into the air and glide them across the skies, today's jetpacks can reach altitudes of over 8,000 feet and travel at speeds of up to 60 miles per hour. If you look at a modern jetpack, humans are ascending and descending in a vertical position. Now imagine if that picture was shown to our ancestors, how would they react? Obviously, they will say, wow, this creature must be divine. This creature must be some type of a god, because they've got the capability of flight. They're like birds, not even the sky. But could a device similar to modern-day jetpacks really explain how biblical angels were capable of ascending deeply into the heavens? Could they have their methods of flight unfamiliar to our ancient ancestors?
We see Ezekiel talks about a flying chariot. In Hebrews talk the pillar of cloud by day, the pillar of fire by night. So clearly, the story of Jacob and the angel in Genesis 28 is a classic UFO scenario. Jacob falls asleep, and in this dream, he dreams that there's angels going up and down the ladder, and this ladder comes from heaven.
If you got, say, a spaceship and an open door and a ramp coming out, it almost looks like a ladder. So it is possible that what is there is nothing else. A technological event that was described as a ladder. Did our ancestors try to explain an ancient alien technology, suggesting that extraterrestrial visitors were heaven visitors with Earth-like wings? If the answer is yes, the implications are both profound and potentially disturbing. For if angels are actual visitors from other worlds, then what is their mission? Are they simply watching us? Or is there, perhaps, a more sinister purpose?
The biggest mysteries all week long. The search for truth doesn't rest. The Unexplained with William Shatner, Monday through Wednesday.
You need the right person to guide you. How you really shall pitch me?
Followed by Ancient Aliens, Thursday through Sunday.
You've just blown my mind. It looks like something from the sky. Here, the impossible is just the beginning.
On Unexplained Zone.
Temple Mount, Old City, Jerusalem. It was here that many biblical stories reportedly occurred, including the binding of Isaac from Genesis 22. In this story, God asks Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac on Mount Moriah. Abraham sets out to obey God's command, but after binding his son and preparing for the sacrifice, he is stopped at the last minute by an angel. Conventional interpretations of the story usually conclude that God only wanted to test Abraham's faith. But ancient astronaut theorists suggest the tale has another interpretation. In my opinion, God would never ask such a question. So, is it possible that it was a fallen angel / alien extraterrestrial who posed as God? God never
never demands human sacrifice. Human sacrifice is totally anathema to Christianity, and it's totally anathema to God as a creator. The French philosopher Sartre very famously wrote, if an angel were to tell me I needed to sacrifice my son, I'd ask for some ID.
Maybe somebody else impersonating a god, and do we then have somebody stepping in to actually prevent this from happening? Are we in fact maybe confronted with two warring civilizations trying to control what is happening in the stories of the Bible?
Just like there are good people and bad people here on Earth, there's good and bad extraterrestrials out there. Good and evil permeates the entire universe. Yin and yang, there's a balance.
Deep inside the Middle Eastern country of Oman, a mysterious cavern lies hidden far beneath the surface. Called Matlas al-Jinn, or meeting place of the Jinn, it stretches more than 14 acres underground and is one of the world's 10 largest caves. Many Omanis still believe this cavern, and others like it, are actually inhabited by supernatural creatures of Islamic folklore, called jinn, or genies, mystical creatures that are usually invisible to man.
One interesting aspect of the jinns is an element of free will. They're like angels, but we think of angels in the West as under the direct command of the divine powers. But the jinn can make some decisions for themselves, and some of them are a little contrary or curious in their way of being.
According to Islamic theology, genies often reveal themselves to humans with messages, which can be either benevolent or deceptive. But is it possible that genies actually exist? If so, where did they come from?
When we talk about genie in a bottle, it's very interesting because you rub the bottle and then the genie comes out of it and it fulfills your wishes. Well, let's look at this from a modern day perspective. If you have a little container and you push a button and a hologram comes out, then could that be a genie in a bottle? And according to the ancient astronaut theory, that is exactly what happened, where extraterrestrials used holograms in order to relay messages. That is essentially a genie in a bottle.
Like angels, jinn are said to be able to appear and disappear at will, and are sometimes only heard as disembodied voices. But while some ancient astronaut theorists believe this behavior resembles that of extraterrestrials, others claim that angels, jinn, and other supernatural creatures have origins right here on Earth. They call these beings ultra-terrestrial.
Ultra-terrestrials are possible beings that travel and visit us from other dimensions. We know that we all vibrate in the three-dimensional space at a certain frequency. It's very possible that other beings vibrate at a higher frequency and are able to pass more easily into other dimensions.
The ultra-terrestrial theory would also explain the folkloric creatures, the angelic creatures, any sort of experience of a strange, supernatural, or alien being that's occurred throughout history.
But could so-called fallen angels, jinn, and other mysterious ultra-terrestrial creatures really help to explain more recent stories of people who claim they are directed toward violent ends by the Word of God? David Berkowitz, better known as Son of Sam, claimed a demon who took possession of his neighbor's dog commanded him to kill. Herbert Mullen, who committed 13 murders in California in the early 1970s, claimed voices in his head told him he had to make human sacrifices to prevent a cataclysmic earthquake. Marshall Applewhite, the leader of the UFO cult known as Heaven's Gate, inspired a mass suicide based on a vision that led him to believe he was related to Jesus.
Ancient literature is full of characters who are claiming that they have been influenced by gods, angels, extraterrestrial beings, right? Which is rather like when Charles Manson or the Son of Sam claims, say, metaphysical reasons or theological reasons for what they're doing now. So it's not a matter of whether we believe them or not, right? They very much believe it, and that's what's important. What matters is that from the ancient world to the modern, there are mysterious forces, whether they are fictions or not. We don't have the ultimate answers. What matters is the similarity, and those discourses are, to a certain extent, transhistorical.
Angels and demons, good versus evil. But if, as many ancient astronaut proponents maintain, extraterrestrials have been masquerading as angels, jinn, and otherworldly creatures for thousands of years, where did they come from? Why are they here? And could they be all around us in plain sight?
What? No. He should at least have the decency to... girl, listen. No, I'm not shopping on Depop right now. Well, love this. That this happened to you, actually, because now you can find your real soulmate. No. Wait, I'll call you back.
Don't let good friendships get in the way of great finds.
Yes!
Hey, Captain! I found it! What is this? Finally! I've been stuck on this level. Onwards to the next level!
Candy Crush Soda Saga. Download now.
They climb, run, and forget the time. And we're there, making sure they can. Because childhood is meant to be lived outside.
Mount Hermon, high above the Holy Land. At 9,230 feet, this mysterious mountain straddles the borders of Lebanon, Syria, and Israel. Sitting above the Golan Heights, Mount Hermon has been contested ground among Christian, Hebrew, and Islamic faithful for thousands of years. According to the Synoptic Gospels, Mount Hermon is the location of the transfiguration of Jesus, an event in which Jesus was transformed into a radiant, altered state and was seen to be conversing with Moses and the prophet Elijah. Mount Hermon is also the site where the 200 fallen angels descended to earth in the book of Enoch. But why Mount Hermon? Is there a geological significance to that site?
All across the face of the earth there are particular hotspots. And it could well be that the reason the Middle East is such a hotspot, and the reason there are legends that the Middle East contains stargates, portals to other universes. One theory says that we were populated from the stars in the Middle East at the beginning of what we call our own time.
In the occult science of numerology, the number 33 represents the ultimate attainment of consciousness. Mount Hermon is located at the 33rd parallel north, which is a latitude 33 degrees north of the Earth's equator. Tracing the 33rd parallel to the exact opposite side of the globe directly points to the site of the most famous alleged UFO encounter in modern history, in Roswell, New Mexico.
If you take the geographic polar opposite from Mount Hermon, you wind up in Roswell, New Mexico. Now that's not an accident, folks. It's not an accident. Fallen angels are very big on where they show up, what they do, how they do it. That should send shivers up and down your spine.
But could the global coordinates of the Roswell crash site and those of Mount Hermon have a special, perhaps secret significance?
If aliens use the 33rd latitudinal line as a waypoint, as a landing point for planet Earth, what biblical people saw thousands and thousands of years ago on Mount Hermon were entities that came down from the sky. They call them angels. We call them extraterrestrials.
My idea is these extraterrestrials, they landed at different points. Why? They knew that thousands of years in the far future, the humans would know the geometry of their land. And all of a sudden they say, hey, what's that? These are places linked together. It's not coincidence. It was on purpose.
Could the angels that descended on Mount Hermon thousands of years ago, and the aliens who were reportedly seen over Roswell, New Mexico in 1947, belong to the same extraterrestrial race? And if so, does this mean that angels or aliens have been among us all along? Were they left behind to monitor us? Or perhaps even guide us into the future?
Probably the last time that we had any regular interaction with these ETs as a cultural level was during the time of the foundation of Islam. For whatever reason, these guys seem to have followed a mutual collective agreement that they withdraw from the earth after the time of Islam, the New Testament, the Bible, etc., etc. Stay away. But in the meantime, we develop technology, we get all proud of ourselves and think, oh, we're the only game in town here. Wake up! They're all over the place. Look at the angels in the Bible. These are documented records. The people that wrote these books didn't think they were myths. They didn't think they were fake. They were writing down history.
The extraterrestrials want that in a far future of mankind, we start to see these things. We start to translate these books. We start to realize that something on Earth in geometry is wrong. And now we start to ask questions. We start to ask, for example, how can we explain that? And we maybe being visited by extraterrestrials. And I think it's important to think in this way, because these extraterrestrials have promised to return. And one day they will return.
If we humans are now on, we'll say, the cusp of finally having some truth laid out to us about our relationship to other intelligences in the universe, I just hope that we will be looking at aliens past, present, and future as not our killers and not our saviors, but as another intelligence that we will be able to shake hands with and learn something about the cosmos.
But if, and perhaps when, so-called angels reveal themselves to us in the form of extraterrestrials, would we accept them? Perhaps only when we are ready to know the truth about our own origins will that day come. The Valley of Death. Suicide Forest. The Mountain of the Dead. For thousands of years, there have been places on Earth believed to be cursed and evil. And those who chose to ignore the warnings are said to have mysteriously disappeared or died horrible deaths.
The locals are very reluctant to speak about what's going on. They don't want people to go there.
There is an area some people believe possesses some form of negative energy, almost as if there's a curse. But what is it about these various sites throughout the world that makes them so perilous that only a brave few have ever been there, and fewer still have lived to tell the tale of what they've seen?
This is a warning to people. Don't go to the place where these extraterrestrials come and inhabit, because they will destroy you.
Millions of people around the world believe we have been visited in the past by extraterrestrial beings. What if it were true? Did ancient aliens really help to shape our history? And are they responsible for creating some of the world's most evil places?
Wil je nog één kook drink? Ek wil nog één kook drink, dan gaat ons, né? Okay. Yes, ek stoors, bro. Sorry hoor. Nee,
There's a car that's been abandoned for a few months. I'm assuming the owner of the car went into it here and never came out. I guess they went into the forest with trucking bullets.
The Japanese have very close relationships with nature. I think a lot of people go in and then decide, and they have the witnesses they can fly their way back. There's something about it that's so fulfilling and visually so strong. Something that we always know with whether that there's some desire, there's some intelligence, there's somebody who spends a lot of time trying to figure out what to do with their life. They do an annual sweep, and they usually find 70, 150 bodies. They find a lot of bodies, and its number has been increasing over the years.
That almost makes it seem like maybe there's just change in the body
Researcher Azusa Hayano has been studying this phenomenon for the past 20 years. Locals don't come here to commit suicide. As children, they're told not to come near you. They're told scary tales. Yes, we did find a skeleton. I think it's about a year or two old. And they think it's alright to secrecy, like they know it's all you and everyone who runs the school is just like they I think it's a positive to drive your relevant by committing suicide. They really do have superpower, and that what the overwhelming majority of suicides are like what's in their mind. Some people decide to kill themselves. They fast and hang around a tree and commit suicide quickly.
even more fucked up.
My longtime friend Kim, who will be just 30.
This is a experiment written on May 18th, about a year before. His name is also written here. He
He wrote, I came here because there is nothing except bad things in my life until now. Please do not search for me. 12:45 p.m. He came in the afternoon. The evening was a little bit creepy. But the dead body should be around here. The suicide was only last year. We actually spent 2 days there walking through the forest. It's working! And we did find everything from places where people had honestly attempted to commit suicide or had thought about committing suicide. She's doing everything in her power. We accidentally found this, but it's not a prank. They nailed this character upside down as a symbol of contempt for society. No, it's more like a curse. The curse is nailed in. I think this person was tortured by society. There is no question that according to tradition, there are places that over time have become evil, that there is some type of a mystique around there that is not good nature, but rather evil. According to local legends, people wishing to end their lives have been drawn to a lonely hard forest for hundreds, if not thousands of years. But why? What is it about this particular region of Japan that could account for this strange, morbid behavior? She's big time mommy from India. Mount Fuji is so named for a reason. It is the old mountain that goddess Fuji, who once came to the lighthouse, originally from France, Japan. She visited them and brought no one. So it's a place of deep reverence. Mount Fuji in Japan is called the Royal Navel. It is one of many places on planet Earth where, according to legend, the Earth meets the sky. And where the Earth meets the sky is known as a Heaven's Gate. It is a place where human beings pass from Earth to the heavens, and a place where otherworldly entities, extraterrestrials, pass from the heavens to Earth. Express purpose of committing suicide to release themselves from this life, to pass through the access window into the next life, into the higher plane. That would explain the high level of suicide in the future. Like the Bermuda Triangle off the coast of North America, the Hitman forest is also said to contain high levels of electromagnetic energy. If so, numerous recent sightings of UFOs near Mount Fuji be an indication that some sort of dimensional time-space portal might exist here, as ancient astronaut theorists believe. And many areas where dimensional portals may exist, you've seen that economics. Various places around the world, in ancient sacred places, they always show certain types of magnetic anomalies, either negative or positive.
What we have are mountains where somehow the energy seems to be of such a nature that it transforms human consciousness and makes it really impossible for us to live there. These are power places where weird things happen. And the suicides are not necessarily related to the fact that ancient aliens are potentially there in the past, or that what we are hoping is happening there in the present. It goes to show that these are powerful places where weird things happen and where things out of the ordinary happening in the past and are happening today.
Could there really be a portal or stargate through which the souls of the deceased can journey to a new dimension? And would this explain why people seeking death have been drawn to this forest for so many years? Some researchers and ancient astronaut theorists believe such an outrageous idea is entirely possible. But further evidence also suggests that some humans are not so willing to give up their lives without a fight, and that their journey to the alien dimension may be a positive one. After all,
Hello? Alright, thank you for that, man. That's right.
Since I read that book, I've continued to train my mind. I am now able to transcend not only physical touch and sight, but time itself. You have to act like a baby for it to work. It's incredible. You know, for a second I thought this whole package of everything was going to be a hello fresh. It is. Being able to do the others with your mind will make your life easier.
Just
You're about to sponsor hello fresh.
their destination, a mountain called Utuatan,
Right here, go.
which is a local Nancy Lane, which means do not go there.
Even though their key experience to change, there are some students who are young and willing to get themselves. They have conducted other hard tracks in their whole experience. Stone will determine.
On their fourth night out, bad weather forces the hikers to camp atop an area called Kalani Siako, which in Nancy translates to the mountain of the dead.
It was a very strange, very hard place to be. Snow, cold, freezing winds, and very little things on it. They decided that they would spend the night of February 1st in an open area, not too far away from the top of the mountain. They didn't want to go back to the forest 1.5 kilometers because it would take them too much time and they would lose the day.
10 days later, when the 9 adventurers failed to show up at their destination, military rescue teams search the area. They find the hikers' camp abandoned and a tent that is badly damaged. The investigators determine that the tent has been cut and ripped open from the inside. And the hikers appear to have fled the area in only socks or bare feet.
This tent had been covered with knives from the interior. It was absolutely obvious that neither animals nor people could approach the tent to break in, meaning that nothing from this earth had approached them.
Something was pushing them to run away without anyone holding them. God, in this place, they were beginning to get rid of the food.
Investigators found the trail to the edge of the forest. But when they eventually find it,
All 9 hikers died. They were discovered by Soviet troops. The various stages of the only described the bodies
that force was directed at all of them. An unknown force visited the hikers, and it was very selective in hitting only the hikers, leaving untouched the snow, the trees, and everything else around.